Cowboys OT is brought to you by Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Yeti, officially licensed Yeti Cowboys gear, is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concession, and on Yeti.com. And by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com.
It took a little extra nerves and maybe an extra 10 minutes, but the Dallas Cowboys get the job done in Week 2 over the New York Giants. They win it 40-37, the final score from AT&T Stadium. The home opener goes in favor of the Cowboys. They've now won 9 straight against their NFC East rivals, and they get it done at home. Alongside Barry Church, Nate Newton, and Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Youmans. So glad you're with us here on Cowboys OT. Barry, I'll start with you since I know the defense wasn't perfect in this one, and you've got a lot of things you want to talk about. But at the end of the day, a win is a win in the NFL, especially when it's against a division rival.
Yeah, they ended up getting a dub. I mean, we all up here understand how hard it is to win a football game in the National Football League, especially against a division rival. You know, they know your weaknesses and strengths just like you know their weaknesses and strengths. But when you look at it, the resilience they had in this game, I loved it. First half didn't go as planned at all. I mean, the New York Giants, they were scrappy, they fought, they kept it going. It was a close game. Second half was even closer, but I love the fight offensively and defensively from this team. I mean, Dak Prescott, once again, put his team on the shoulders, was able to go out there and get the job done. Now, after all that being said, there's definitely some things to clean up, you know, when you talk about the Dallas Cowboys as a whole, offensively, defensively, and in the special teams. I'll let my guys, Nate handle the offense, but defensively in that secondary, we cannot allow these big-time plays to keep coming. I mean, these chunk plays, these explosive plays, that's how you get beat in the National Football League. They did a great job of it in Week 1 by keeping everything in front of them, rallying to the football, doing a great job. But this game, I mean, it was a complete opposite. You saw guys running wide open in the middle of zones, which shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen at all. I mean, you got to be as deep as the deepest as your safety, and as a corner, you got to be as deep as the deepest as well, and that just wasn't happening for this secondary for whatever the reason may be. They got some things to clean up, but like you said, Kyle, they got the W at the end.
Yeah. You know, I agree with you on the defense. Just big play after big play. They only had 22 first downs. That was New York. But just the penalties. You know, we come with 12 penalties for 106 yards. They have 14 penalties for 106 yards. So penalties just marred this game up and messed it up. But, you know, I think coming out in the first half, we took the Giants lightly. Yep. And they punched us in the mouth. And they kept hitting us with this little dude called Scatterboo. He turn around. He's getting first down after first down. I'm telling you, we underestimated these guys. We came back, we competed, and we won the game. Your boy, the kicker, Aubrey.
That's right.
Just the excitement. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
This team got a long way to go. You know, this team has a new head coach, new defense, offensive coordinator. You got to be patient. It's going to be some ugly games like this.
Yeah, sometimes it's going to be Bubba Sparks ugly, but you take the victories when you can get them. There's a lot to work on. We all understand that. But ultimately, as you're talking about Brian Schottenheimer in his new stint as a head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, you have to take the positives, right? You'll address the negatives all week long. You'll get those things knocked out between today, post-game, and then Monday and Tuesday. But after that, you have to move on. But the positive is you show that your team has some fight. The positive is you show that you have some resilience. You have some guys that can show up and make plays for you. Some of your new additions, George Pickens showed up in a major way when you needed him most. Those contested catches. I know his stat line's not going to necessarily light you up and show what you guys want necessarily as fans, but you have to remember he forced 2 big pass interference calls, which would have accounted for another 65, 70 yards. So he would have been a 130-yard receiver had he not had those calls and would have had those receptions. So a lot of positive things, but to Barry's point, yeah, the negatives were the zone. You try to get to man early on, Eberflus did, and you saw that Trayvon Diggs just isn't ready to play man-to-man. So what do? You go back to what you did last week against Philadelphia that was so successful. However, you had safeties that were playing out of position, and it ended up killing you in the long run because you almost had 2 receivers that had 150 yards.
And it really was a back-and-forth affair from the get-go. Let's go ahead and go into the highlights of this one. Of course, both teams enter 0-1. The Cowboys have won 15 of 16 against the Giants, but they haven't played a Giants team led by Russell Wilson. Dak Prescott has not lost to New York since his rookie season. We fast forward to the second quarter. Speaking of Russell Wilson, he's got a new target. His name is Malik Neighbors. He goes up over the top of Trayvon Diggs, pulls this pass down. First touchdown of the day after the Giants led 6-0 at the end of the first quarter. This made it 13-3 Giants midway through the second. Dak and the Cowboys back on the offensive side of the football, and one thing about it, the Cowboys did not quit on offense. We'll continue that throughout the day. Free play for the Cowboys. Dak fits it in a tight window. Kevontae Turpin is there. Touchdown Dallas. It's now 13-10. Giants lead it at the halftime break. Into the third quarter, Cowboys get that ground game rocket. Javonte Williams breaks free from 30 yards out and gives Dallas a 17-13 advantage. Both teams would trade field goals into the fourth quarter. We go. The Giants leaning on Cam Scatteraboo. He rocks this one all the way down to the 1 yard line. Comes up just 1 yard shy. He would punch it in on the next play to give Giants a 23-20 lead. Dallas, their run game would continue as well. Miles Sanders rocks his way into the end zone. That play set up by some completions to Lamb and Pickens. So why not have the Giants get their passing game rocking? Wan'Dale Robinson over the top. He reels it in for a big-time touchdown. Giants back on top. Cowboys would answer with just 52 seconds left. Pickens reels in a 6-yard touchdown. They feel like the game is over. Russell Wilson turns around. He says, "Not so fast, my friend." Drops it in a bucket to Malik Neighbors. Tight coverage from Wilson and from Elam. Doesn't matter. Neighbors reels it all the way in. Giants lead it with just under a couple seconds remaining, but that's all they needed to get into field goal range for Brandon Aubrey. They were just getting started. We're going to overtime, tied at 37 as he hits a 64-yarder to send it to overtime. Both offenses would sputter in OT, but Dallas would come up with the fatal blow on the defensive side. Donovan Wilson, after the mistake covering Neighbors in regulation, has the interception, camps out underneath it, and then it's just up to Dak Prescott and the offense to work their way into field goal range. This is plenty for Brandon Aubrey, pointing for the first down, and also direction that Brandon Aubrey's going to kick this 46-yarder to win it at the end of OT. If he missed it, it was a tie, but the Cowboys get the win. 1-1 on the 2025 season. It was back and forth the entire time, but they get it done and win their 9th straight against their NFC East rival. The final stats brought to you by Miller Lite. Over 500 yards of total offense for the New York Giants. The Cowboys have 478 of their own, but boy, this was never in grasp for either team, and the penalties played a factor. The offenses played a factor as well. We'll continue breaking this down when we come back with more Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. We're going to go out and hear from some of the winners at AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys get it done in Week 2.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's really hard to describe just how much of a weapon Brandon Aubrey is. But how about this? The Cowboys down to their final 25 seconds. They have 3 timeouts. No real rush for the Cowboys. They know they just got to get past the 50-yard line to tie the game at 37 with a 64-yard field goal. Let's hear from Brandon Aubrey as he kicks the game-tying and game-winning field goals in Arlington.
Yeah, at this point, I don't really communicate it because when I go out in pregame, I don't have the same energy, the same pop off my foot. So just is within reason. When they get me there, hopefully I've got what they need, and they trust me. And you can see the ball probably was good for 6 or 7 more yards, so probably got a little bit more in there.
When you hear them chanting, does that give you more energy in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. The crowd really brings me alive, so it's great to hear that.
Have you ever had a what do you have to do to make sure that you're ready?
Yeah, it's just talking to myself. It's going through breathing exercises and just reminding myself that I'm made for this moment, that I believe I'm the best kicker in the league, so there's no better spot to be. It's an opportunity, so go have fun. And then, go ahead. I'm good.
I know you've hit some big kicks in your career. Have you ever had a hero's welcome like you had come up in the tunnel a little bit ago with all of them chanting your name? What was that like?
That was unreal. Just happy to have the support and have the fans show their appreciation. So it was a really cool moment.
Brandon, where were you ranked at this game in terms of your career, in the involvement you were in, and the ups and downs?
Yeah, it's got to be number one. I think that's the first walk-off field goal I have. So did it twice today, which was pretty cool as time expires. Once to obviously send it to overtime, and then once in overtime. So pretty cool moment for me.
What can you say about Dak and the offense just to continually at the end of the game at least give you a chance to do what you did?
Yeah, so like I have a job to get the ball through the uprights. They have a line that they want to get to, and they've got to find any way possible to get there, and they did it over and over again.
So there's Brandon Aubrey following a historic game. Once again, he hits the 64-yard game-tying field goal at the end of regulation and a 46-yarder to win it at the end of overtime. It's funny, right? Like it's unbelievable. And I put this on X after the regulation game-tying field goal, but let's just go ahead and get the deal done. Let's just go ahead and pay him. Let's extend him, give him a blank check, and then let him be your kicker for the rest of his entire career. And you might as well lock him up before he leaves the building, because the further we go, the more expensive he's going to get, Isaiah.
Pay the man. No, I love everything about Brandon Aubrey. For those that haven't had the opportunity to be around him, he is the most calm, collected, chill dude you ever met in your life. You would never know he was a professional athlete. You would definitely never know that he was the best at what he does in his profession, the one of one in this entire world. He's absolutely a great asset for the Dallas Cowboys. The confidence in the offense to know that we get the ball at least on the 25-yard line. I'm kickoff returns now with the new rules. To get the ball to the 50-yard line, even if we got it to the 45, we at least have a shot to win the ball game. That cannot be overstated. That causes problems, and I could punt this to my guy BC. For a defense coming out there trying to stop an offense from getting 2 first downs and knowing that if they allow them to get 20 yards of offense, they're going to lose the game potentially, that puts a lot of stress on the opposition and not so much on your offense.
Yeah, it puts a ton of stress on the defense, because you can't go out there and say, all right, we're going to play prevent defense and let them get to this certain amount of point before we end up locking up. You got to pretty much lock up from the 25 in, because you got to understand that he can make that field goal. And it was something that he said, in that interview that kind of really stuck out to me. He said, you know what, I know I'm made for this moment. And he's been like that since he first stepped on the football field for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I'm not so sure people understand how much of a weapon it is, like you just said, to where if you get anywhere near midfield, even the 45 on the other side, like you said, that's basically an automatic 3. I mean, it just blows my mind how great of a field goal kicker he is. I've been around some accurate guys and some guys that, maybe miss 1 or 2 a season, but to be able to be that accurate from that far of a distance it's an unreal talent, man. Unreal talent.
Just any spot. 15 yards out, 100 yards out, it seems like the kid can make it. I mean, he just believes in himself. I like that when he said, I'm built for this.
Yeah.
My team believes in me. They get it to where I need it to be, and I make it happen. I only have respect for kickers that can tie games and win games. This dude tied a game to take it into overtime, and he won the game. Those are the type. Last year, I wasn't hearing it. This year, I'm rolling with you.
It's different this year.
I got to ask you a quick question, because we know how you don't really care about kickers. But as a former amazing offensive lineman, how does that change your mindset as an offensive lineman when you step on the field knowing that you have that weapon that can possibly come in the game?
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Exactly, because see me, I already run the ball. So if we can run that thing 15, 20 yards and bring home, he's part of the run game, bro. Part of the crew. Part of the run game.
Oh, man.
I loved it, man.
Brian Schottenheimer is at the podium right now, and he just had a quote that I thought was great. He said he would have trusted Brandon Aubrey from 70-ish yards at that point in the game. Unbelievable stuff from Brandon Aubrey. I'm sure we'll talk more about it as the year goes along. The Cowboys get the win 40-37. We also saw CeeDee Lamb with 100 yards receiving, and George Pickens with his first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy. We'll hear from both of the top wide receivers when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys had over 450 yards of total offense, 100 yards receiving again from CeeDee Lamb. We're going to hear from him in just a second. But let's start with the man who had his first touchdown reception as a part of the Dallas Cowboys. It came in a crucial spot, giving them the lead with just under a minute to play in regulation. Let's hear from George Pickens after the Cowboys win.
And obviously, helmet comes off, mask goes on a little bit. What was your reaction?
Oh, yeah, super excited, super happy. Yeah, it's definitely that time. And, good dub for the guys. Yeah. I'd probably say, like I said, resiliency, because me or C had an over route he caught, and then think I caught the slant early, and that was about it for the first half. And then we came in here at halftime. We just knew what type of game it was going to have to be in terms of me and CD having to make plays. Yeah, it's definitely a relief. Especially I wanted to get in the touchdown. I wanted to get in that box. But like I said, it's definitely for the team. That's definitely where because I know what type of guys these are. So with special plays like today, you can win a lot of games.
How was your timing with Dak developing? It looked like it developed in the second half.
Yeah, super good. Especially definitely we got different type of runaway plays. You know what I mean? Setting them up. O-line doing great, giving them time. When he has time, he's 100%.
CD was saying that you guys in the second half.
Nobody. It's resilient. That's what Shotter's preaching within us. It's how we practice. We practice harder today, and it shows.
When you talk about George Pickens and how he fit in and taking himself,
happy for him, man. Happy he's here. It showed, my man. He got expectations. The first to me, and he's a heck of a player, and I'm excited to what he's going to bring to this team in the future.
What kind of adjustments you guys making in the fourth quarter and kind of overtime passing attack really kind of stepped up?
We got to get aggressive. Use who you have as your outside pieces. I mean, they were doubling me all game, and we had to take a step back and understand that. And then after we came out and threw the pick in the second half, we made an adjustment, and then the rest is history. That man's the GOAT. All we had to do, we understood that we had to just get to the star. Once we get to the star, everything else is on BA.
When you walked by me in the tunnel a minute ago, you were saying something to an assistant coach, and you were like, I was just telling the media that. What were you referencing?
Last week, situation fell to my hands. This week, we step up. It's all about being resilient. Adversity gonna hit. It's all about how you respond.
How focused were you?
CeeDee Lamb talking about responding to adversity. He has another bounce-back game after the 4 drops last week. Made some incredible grabs. But, Isaiah, I know from the get-go you've wanted to get George Pickens involved. They got him involved a number of times today, and he looked good in his first home game as a Cowboy.
No, it's good to see George Pickens get involved, and I know everybody wants to see him light up the stat sheet. Last week he had 3 receptions. I don't know, he would have had a 4th, but you got to remember he drew a big-time pass interference last week. What does he do this week? Goes out there, gets a number of completions, gets some good balls, was able to go out there and score. And what else that he does? He goes out there and gets 2 pass interferences. So he has 68 yards receiving, but he really would have had 130 if it wasn't for those PIs, right? But those played in your favor as well. So even though you don't see him necessarily lighting up the stat sheet the way in which you would hope to see him and CD 100 yards plus, he's making huge contributions and impacting this game in a major way. And then what else are you seeing? You're seeing the result of him being out there in the running game.
He's a difference maker. When you're talking about 3rd and long, 2nd and long, and it's a passing situation, it gives an easier read for Dak. He had 9 targets today with 5 catches to go along with them 68 yards and that TD, man. And then you take CeeDee Lamb on the other side. He's CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he came back 11 targets, 9 catches, 124 yards. That is what we're looking for. And these guys are going to be special, man.
And remember, not only is he drawing the pass interference penalties, but he's also shading coverage. Guys are looking at CeeDee Lamb more so, and that allows guys like Jake Ferguson to make an impact, Kevontae Turpin, the run game, as Isaiah alluded to there. The presence of George Pickens is being felt, and that's how the Cowboys had some success on the offensive side of the ball. When we come back, we hear from the offensive play caller and head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who just secured his first win as a head coach in the NFL, Brian Schottenheimer, from the podium next. Welcome back to Cowboys OT. I'm Kyle Youmans. The Cowboys get the win 40-37. It's also the first win as a head coach in the NFL for Brian Schottenheimer. He takes the podium victorious for the first time from AT&T Stadium.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Your emotions after getting your first win?
It was really good coming off the field. And then when Dak presented me, he and Jerry presented me with the game ball. That was pretty special for me. Cool way to win your first game. You know, you'll remember it forever. But the words that Dak and the players said to me after the game is why it's so special. It's I expect the first of many. But I'll remember this one forever because of the fight of these guys, the way they didn't quit. They just kept believing. We always say give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter. I guess we had to go a little longer tonight, but we found a way to do it. And very, very special. But so proud of those young men, man. You talk about pro football and the ups and downs and the high lows and giving up big bombs, and then you got to go back out there. And some of the situational stuff we did was just incredible. What can I say about Brandon Aubrey? I mean, just, 4 field goals, 51, 44, 64. Would have been good from 70, and then the walk-off 46-yard kick. So proud of those young men. The hard work that they've done. This is about them. This isn't about me. It's about them, and I'm just so blessed to be their head coach.
When you walked off, it looked like you were blowing a kiss. Were you assuming having a little special moment for your dad there before you walked off the field?
Yeah, so my family was up in the box. I was blowing them a kiss. I was talking to my dad as well, and how about this? My mom on Friday afternoon went to the airport, fell in the airport, broke her arm. So, Mom, I love you. I know you're watching. I know you're proud, but kind of stinks she wasn't here for it. But I know she took one for the team, and she said, "Hey, I'll be all right. I'll take my meds and be ready to go." Look at this guy. Thank you, Tad.
Clarence Deal, unless your mom followed in the airport, not coming here, not being able to be here for your first game, that they kind of give you any bad juju, like, dang, Mom's not going to be here. What is that?
Well, we've had a lot of things this week. I mean, I don't know how deep you guys want to go. I had my dogs got bit by snakes. That was a big vet bill. Shout out to wherever we went. They got not one but two got bit by snakes, and then my mom calls me on Friday afternoon when I'm leaving the office and from the ER. She's got her hand in traction from a compression fracture. So I figured something had to flip into good because this has been a crazy week. And but man, I'm such a blessed man. My family, but those guys in the locker room, man, that is my family too. And I love those guys, and I'm so proud of them. My mom is 82. She'll be 82 in September, here in a couple weeks, in a week. She's lucky. Yeah, she's lucky. But, Mom, I love you. I know you're watching. I love you.
Definitely some family ties and emotions, all for Brian Schottenheimer after securing his first win. You can catch his entire postgame press conference on DallasCowboys.com and the Cowboys YouTube channel as well. When we come back on Cowboys OT, the Cowboys win at 40-37, but there were some negatives. We talk about the penalties when we come back and how the Cowboys can clean it up going into Week 3. One of the big storylines for the Cowboys, despite the win in Week 2, will be the penalties. 12 penalties for 106 yards. However, they were also benefiting from penalties at the same time. The New York Giants, their most penalized first half in a quarter decade, more than 25 years since the Giants had more than 9 penalties in a first half. Well, they did in this one, and they ultimately fall 37 points on the board. They lose 42-37. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Youmans here for Cowboys OT. Nate, I know penalties will boil the blood a little bit whenever it comes to a coaching staff and a team that's trying to get to the next level. Can the Cowboys still get to the next level despite some of the undisciplined side that they showed today?
You have to. And our tackles are struggling right now. So when they get in a pass situation, you're going to have a few holdings here and there, and that's why Coach should try to go with the run game as much as he can. But you have to clean up, and the only way you beat penalties is with technique and going out on that field during Monday through Thursday, working as hard as you can and remembering what hurt you during the game.
Yeah, this team, they've got to get better. They got to get, more disciplined. Right now, they're not good enough of a team to go out there and overcome 3rd and 15s, 2nd and 17s from a holding call or a false start or some type of personal foul. They got to clean this thing up because when you look at it, 12 for 106 yards, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it at all. Now, they got helped out because the team they were going against is a lot less disciplined than they are. I mean, 14 penalties for 160 yards definitely helped out the Cowboys. But overall, when you look at it, they got to become a more disciplined team if they want to reach the heights that Coach Schottenheimer has for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what took place today that really turned up their penalties. Last week against Philadelphia, they had 4 penalties for 42 yards. This week, they obviously go out there for 12 for 106. There was a lot more emotional game seemingly today, so maybe that played a part in it. But either way, regardless of what the reasoning is, it has to get cleaned up because as you face better teams, obviously you didn't make those mistakes last week. It didn't necessarily contribute to your loss last week against the Super Bowl champs. But this week, it almost contributed to a loss, and it definitely contributed to a lot closer game than what it should have been. You have to get these things cleaned up as your schedule continues to get more difficult.
Now, I know you can really go through any penalty from one snap to the other. One penalty that stuck out to me was the offensive pass interference called on George Pickens late in the game.
Yeah.
Was that one where you would kind of take it back?
Terrible call.
You think so?
Terrible call. Everybody has their opinions. The referees have to call what they call. But in my opinion, that was a ticky-tack flag football call. We're playing tackle professional league football. This is the highest level of competition in the world for this sport. You cannot call that.
Can we hear from the resident defender, our resident secondary player here? Do you feel like that's the right call?
Without a doubt, that was offensive pass interference. I mean, when you look at it, the man's arms was extended. I'm taking it all day on the defensive side of the football. But when you talk about Isaiah, I mean, we looked at this, and there was a lot of ticky-tack things that when we played the game, that's just part of ball. I mean, when you looked at the penalty on CeeDee Lamb, he was in the end zone kind of just doing this thing. I'm like, you're playing the game. Emotions are going to get out there. It's not like he's taking a swing on anybody. He was just, kind of celebrating. But there was a lot of ticky-tack things that were going on in this game. But overall, like we just talked about, they've got to become a little bit more disciplined.
I can see the look on Nate's face.
Now, I'm just thinking, how can James Houston face this team for the New York Giants when you had three major penalties against you, and you got out on the one, and you acted the way you acted, and that kept us in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did. And so
you're talking about the Giants.
I'm talking about the Giants. James Hudson. Houston. Yeah. You cannot do that because now when you get on the plane, guys are rolling their eyes at you. The coach is going to have to make an example of this guy. So, I mean, they took him out of the game. But what do you do from this point? Yeah. Because that could have been a different game if this kid would have messed it up.
Yeah, they were on the 1 yard line when that happened.
Yeah, and there were points left off the board.
Yes.
It was that was the opening drive. Going back, that seems like it happened a year ago. But it was a crucial part on how this one turned out. When we come back, we're going to talk about the defensive line. Kenny Clark in his second game with the Cowboys recorded the sack as well. He looked good in week 2. We'll talk to Kenny Clark when we come back. Just 2 games into his career as a part of the Dallas Cowboys defensive front, Kenny Clark making quite the first impression. He had a sack in the win, 40-37 over the New York Giants. Let's hear from one of the newest Dallas Cowboys and an impact player in that front seven.
But I mean, that was crazy. I don't even got no words for it. It was nothing but crazy. But I'm happy we on the other side of it with a win.
Did you ever think at any point in that game that y'all had it won?
Yeah, a couple times. I mean, pretty much a lot. I mean, like 3-4 times we had the game won. Kind of started off slow, and we got going. In the second quarter and the second half, we got to just keep that momentum going and just lock in on our keys, and just play better at the end of the day.
They brought you in to stop the run. You guys, how do you think the D-line did today, in particular, minus maybe one run? Yeah,
we did a great job. It irked me that we got that. He got that one, but I'm pretty happy about how we performed, especially in the run. They try to double team us and run duo every play, and all the guys, we were all stout in there, and guys are setting the edge, safeties coming down, making plays, the defensive line getting penetration and making plays, and we're gonna need that to be able. I mean, we're gonna need that to be able to stop teams.
How familiar were you? There were times on that defense that was out there that you guys had like 9 different guys that weren't even playing on this team last year. I mean, the resiliency that you guys showed today when guys were coming in and out of the lineup because of the what was going on.
Yeah, I mean that's the name of the game. That's the league, and you never know. When your number is going to be called, and that's up to us to be able to prepare and show up, every single day with the preparation at practice, and then perform on the game field.
Kenny Clark following the Cowboys win over the New York Giants, back with Barry Church and Nate Newton. Barry, you've played with some great defensive tackles. You've played against some great defensive tackles once or twice in your day. How much of an impact is he already making, Kenny Clark, on this defensive line just 2 games in?
He's making a huge impact when you look at it. We haven't had a force, or the Cowboys haven't had a force on the inside like this in a long time. Maybe even back to, Jay Ratliff or Jason Hatcher type of days, where not only is there impact in the running game, but they can also get after the quarterback as well. I mean, we've seen it out here. And what he's been able to do for this defense is not only make plays for himself, but he's created a lot of one-on-one opportunities for the rest of the defensive line out there, because their offenses are going into the game thinking, okay, we got to make sure we handle number 95 out there. And that allows one-on-ones outside. That allows your linebackers to free flow using their speed to go sideline to sideline. So to me, his impact is not only felt, in the stat book, but also from his other teammates as well. Now, Nate, when we talk about defensive lines, how hard is it to go and face an interior guy like that, knowing that he's a force that he is?
You just can't. When you go into the game, it's a double team on everything. You Deuce blocking Kenny on everything. They only got 84 yards at 4 yards a clip. That's 21 carries. They had 3 tackles for losses. So this is what we had, none of that at all last year. This guy brings a discipline. He brings a meanness to the game, and then he has the pressure versus the pass to keep that pocket pressed in, so your defensive ends can get a shorter edge. So he is starting to make an impact on his team, but it still will take a little bit of time for everybody to get on board.
That's the thing that's really interesting about all this is you're talking about how it takes time. He got off the plane, and he's one of the best defensive tackles Dallas has had in decades. I mean, that's how quickly he has made an impact. What is his ceiling? What can he get to, or are we already seeing what he can do? And that's what we can expect from here on out.
I think as everybody else get better, he will get even better. This kid is an all-pro player, a Pro Bowl type caliber player. He's been in the league. He's played in big game after big game. He understands how to play consistent at a high level. That's what we've been missing the last few years. Is guys don't get hard when it's time to rise up, and that's what we need for him to do.
Is something that you'll have to continue looking for, and you're going to have to do it next week against DeAndre Swift and the Chicago Bears, team that likes to run the football quite a bit. They're going to be challenged again in Week 3. When we come back, we're going to hear from QB1, Dak Prescott, with another game-winning drive in overtime. He hits the podium when we come back.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today.
Going to have to ice up the arm for Dak Prescott in this one. He threw 52 pass attempts. He completed 38 of them for 361 yards, a couple touchdowns, had the 1 interception as well. Here's what he had to say following the win over the Giants at AT&T Stadium.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. What did you say to Shotty after the game? He said it was pretty emotional in there.
Yeah, just gave him the game ball, first career win. Told him how much we all appreciated him. Told him that game was the epitome of him and his coaching style, just the resiliency he has and the way the way he carries himself, the way he coaches. The standard's the standard, and at the end of the day, that's winning, and that's what this game, the end of it was. And credit to him. We're behind him. He deserved that first win. Tough one to get. Fun one to get, very fun one to get, and I know he'll never forget it. I won't forget it. I'm sure every guy in that locker room won't forget this one.
How fast you think you were going on that scramble up the middle there?
I told you I could run. Rehab went well, man. Feel good.
I'll say Dallas. The scramble. So much talk about your running last year, not running last year. You wasn't running as much as Aaron Rodgers last year. You didn't have a big run to really key to the field goal.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just from, like I said, the way I rehabbed. Obviously, last year not running, I think that just took a toll on honestly, that's why I got hurt, right? I wasn't running, and then all one game I decided let's start running, and my body wasn't ready for it, I guess, and that's where that injury came from. And so just from this whole offseason, the recovery process, it was about getting back to who I am, my game, understanding how much the legs are a part of my game, and in a moment like that, to be able to bring them out and use them and seal the game was awesome. But I feel great. I'm healthy. Just thank God that I am, and staying in the moment and staying present.
You talked About Shotty, and this win was about him. Was this a culture win? I mean, there's so much talk about culture. Was this one of those culture wins?
Yeah, for sure. There was a lot of communication all throughout the game, from offense to defense, throughout different positions. It was complimentary football. Maybe at its finest, I'm not sure, right? That would be just shutting them out and scoring 100 points. But to be able to, when I throw an interception, those guys go out and make a fourth down stand in the red zone, don't allow them to have any points. When we score, even though they gave up a touchdown, for us to come back and score again, that's having your brother's back at all costs, and that's believing in your brother, believing in your teammate, not doubting yourself, not doubting this team, the culture, the brotherhood that we built, and ultimately the resilience and that faith paid off, and we're able to obviously get in range right there, and Butter does what he does and finished it off.
Dak, Todd Archer, the ESPN. You guys practice.
Dak talking about some of the key points there, and while you can criticize the defense, and of course there's going to be plenty of criticism, you got to give credit to the offense as well. They took advantage of the extra opportunities. Like you said there, after a red zone stop, you go right down and score. And every time New York had any level of success in the second half, especially that fourth quarter on offense, Dak and the offense responded, Barry. That's tough to come back from if you're the Giants on the other side.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for when from your leader and your quarterback out there in Dak Prescott. We looked at the first quarter, even the first half, and it wasn't as crisp as we would like it to be. I mean, it seemed like the rapport between him and the wide receivers were a little bit off. The ball placement here and there when balls should have been, line drives versus kind of moon balls like Russell Wilson was throwing out there. But overall, the second half, they fought and they continued to get better. I never like it when, Dak throws for over 35 attempts. That's just not me. We know he works best with a balanced attack. And what I liked about what Schottenheimer did today was, he threw the ball a lot, but he also incorporated the run as well. We had Williams in there grinding out those tough, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and that kept New York honest and kept Dak Prescott in the game as well. So for me overall, was there stuff to clean up? Of course there was. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but this offense fought hard, and at the end of the day, that's all you can ask from your leader.
Dallas had over 100 yards rushing last week. They had over 100 yards rushing this week. They were successful in that in terms of initiating their presence at the line of scrimmage, and that's always going to help Dak out. But to your point, Barry, throwing the ball 52 times is a lot. Yeah. And obviously Dak was able to utilize his footwork, both crossing the line of scrimmage and working in the pocket to give himself some time to make some plays for this offense. I do believe that he's still getting back calibrated. There were some throws last week that he left on the table that he would have loved to have back. Not just regular throws. I'm talking about big play throws, right? Plays down the middle to Jake Ferguson. He could have had 1 or 2 touchdowns last week that were left on the field. Plays today that were left on the field to George Pickens that would have been touchdowns down in the corner in the end zone and some other throws that we saw as well. So there's some things that he's still dialing in. I'm not sure where he's at in his calibration process, but he's still making plays while getting recalibrated. And when you start seeing Dak utilize his footwork to buy himself time in the pocket and make some accurate throws, you start seeing Dak utilize his legs and not be concerned about his hamstring. And with that, accompanied by the fact that he's going to get on par with George Pickens, with CeeDee Lamb, with Jake Ferguson, and once he gets dialed in with that, it's going to be a problem. So a lot to look forward to. Just know that he's not all the way there yet, but he will be.
Well, here's the best part about all of that is that even though he is still being recalibrated, he's doing so at 1-1 rather than 0-2 because it very easily could have been the other way around. When we come back, we take a look ahead to Week 3. The Cowboys take on the struggling Chicago Bears. What do they need to do to improve to 2-1 on the 25 season?
To watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. Cowboys OT was brought to you by Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Yeti, officially licensed Yeti Cowboys gear, is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concession, and on Yeti.com. And by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com.
We just getting started. We're going to keep this rolling.
Hello! Shout out to Shotty. Compete every day. I need a Shotty.
Shout out to Shotty.
Compete every day.
How about that? You got to love it. A little backwards visor, a little Schottenheimer tribute as he gets his first win as a head coach in the National Football League. Welcome back in to Cowboys OT. The Cowboys get a win over the Giants in overtime, 40-37. With Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Youmans. Quick shout out to the city of New York. Rangers took 2 of 3 from the Mets, and the Cowboys took this one against the Giants as well. Just thank you for all the wins this weekend. Sincerely, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Now, with that being said, the Cowboys now turn their attention to Chicago and the Chicago Bears, who enter at 0-2. They get just steamrolled today by the Detroit Lions, who were on a mission. Isaiah, when you look ahead, what do the Cowboys need to work on the most going up against Ben Johnson and that Bears team?
Well, you got to get a pass rush because Caleb Williams is going to be all over the place. And you better find a way to defend these receivers because they have a lot of weapons in terms of receivers, tight ends, running backs. There's a lot to cover, so you better figure out whether you're playing man or playing zone. And if you're playing zone, what's your responsibility? What is your zone?
Exactly. That leads me right into my point. As a staff and as players out there, you got to figure out which player, excels at that certain point, whether it's being in the box and, going against a run and being underneath coverage, or back in the middle of the field, or back in your quarter, if you're in quarters coverage. Where do they excel at, and put your players in the right opportunity to make plays out there? We saw this week a lot of explosive plays were happening, and that's not what you want out of an Eberflus defense. You got to make sure you keep everything in front of you, tackle well. They got to get better tackling, and they got to limit these explosive plays because, like you said, Caleb Williams, he's going to be everywhere. Throwing the ball, buying time, extending the plays, and they got DJ Moore. They got, how do you pronounce his name? Odunze?
Rome Odunze.
They got a bunch of cats out there.
And they got a Ben Johnson, who's a new head coach, who's an offensive genius, who doesn't want to go 0-3.
You're just saying that because you like Rome Odunze because he went to Washington.
Where'd he go to school?
He went to Washington.
The Dub.
He went to UW. That's all you're doing.
They can say whatever they want, but they're going to have to be more disciplined this week than it was the first week.
That's true.
They're going to have to have the right pass rush set of guys in there. They're going to have to play great situational football. And that's defensively. Offensively, we have to be able to run the ball a little bit more, and we have to be great on play-action pass to help our tackles.
All right, so now that we've kind of wrapped it up, taking a look ahead, I want you guys to give me your players of the game. Who was the difference maker for Dallas? This is about as hard as it's going to get to make a player of the game designation. Isaiah, I'll let you start.
Just one.
Just one.
Jeez.
One guy.
I'm going to go with Dak. I think Dak did a heck of a job of working in the pocket, buying time, crossing the line of scrimmage, extending drives, extending plays. I think I'm going to have to go with Dak.
Yeah, for me, I'm going Brendan Aubrey. I mean, 4 for 4. You tie the game up. You go out there and then you win the game. And it's not like, these are chip shots. It ain't like these are, extra points. What did he hit, a 64-yarder to tie it up? I mean, that's just amazing in its own. And this is a guy that, like you said earlier, Kyle, you got to get this guy signed up. You got to get this guy for the foreseeable future.
You had a 51-yarder in the first half, a 44-yarder in the second half. Of course, the 64-yarder that went through the uprights to send it to OT in the first place, and then, of course, the 46-yarder to win it at the end.
What they call him, Butter?
Butter Aubrey.
Butter Aubrey.
Understand when this deal gets done, you're going to have the highest paid quarterback, the highest paid guard, one of the highest paid receivers, and then you're going to have the highest paid kicker.
Yeah, but a kicker contract compared
I get
to the
it,
rest
but
of
come on.
I'll be fine.
Mess up my headline.
The player of the game was Shotty. He stuck to it. He kept guys competing. He his demeanor did not change. He stayed that guy who he was. And, hey, you better be prepared for next week, but Shotty is my guy.
Okay. There you go. And congratulations, of course, from all of us here at Cowboys OT to Brian Schottenheimer. First win as an NFL head coach. It's hard to do that in this day and age, and he did it. Certainly an emotional day for him and his entire family. But the Cowboys get it done, 40-37, the final score from AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys are 1-1 on the 2025 campaign. For Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from Cowboys OT. We'll see you next week as the Cowboys take on the Chicago Bears in Week 3.